aspects are present in our personalities. And there is a very important work we need to do here. We need to address all of these 5 emotions and communicate with our emotions. And here I would like to tell you, when you take a train, for instance, sometimes there is this indication saying, be careful, one train may hide another, meaning that another train may come behind and you might not have seen it, which means it's the same as our 5 emotions. Some people get angry really easily, and it may just be because they're hiding their sadness, or maybe they're not even aware of their sadness. So as long as you can be angry as much as you want. As long as you haven't addressed your sadness, there won't be any difference. So you need to be aware of all these emotional aspects, do your emotional cleaning regularly in order to feel better.
Mais tant que je n'ai pas touché ma tristesse, je ne vais pas du tout aller mieux. Donc je peux me mettre en colère 10 000 fois contre la terre entière, pour autant je ne vais pas mieux. Donc tant que je n'ai pas fait le travail d'aller chercher les émotions qui ne sortent pas bien et comment je pourrais les exprimer dans un cadre sécure, finalement je n'ai pas fait mon travail. Et donc je ne vais pas mieux. Alors il y a un certain nombre de techniques également qu'on peut citer, des techniques de respiration, les respirations yoga, les techniques de respiration Qigong qui viennent des arts martiaux, les techniques de circulation d'énergie qu'on retrouve dans le Tai Chi, dans le Kung Fu, dans un certain nombre de disciplines. Ça me semble assez bon pour rééquilibrer, je dirais, les
Another technique is breathing. There are different ways. First of all, there is yoga. There are also other martial arts such as Qigong or Tai Chi, which help us to circulate and be effective with our energy. This can help rebalance the energy that we have in our body. So this is very good, especially for our emotions that we may not be aware of, in order to get some balance, some emotional balance. Another school of thought, which I think is a Dutch school of thought, is the fact of being fully aware of your emotions. One of the approaches can be, for instance, of looking and analyzing a grain of rice. You can look at it, you can touch it, you can smell it, and then you can take 5 or 10 minutes to slowly eat it and be aware of all your feelings and all the taste. The second possibility is meditation. You can be in a room with your eyes closed, you can shut down the light, and you can try and be conscious of all the noises around you and of all the people around you. Now, the most important aspect, which would be the third aspect, is a way of being in touch with our emotions and of the unease that we may feel inside of us. There are emotions that hurt us, and we work in a way that Darwin has already said, that we are trying to avoid all of our negative feelings, which means that we don't see them and we don't want to see them. So we need to get in contact, get in touch with all this unease, everything that hurts us, and that's the only way they will dissolve. There is no way of avoiding these feelings. They will wake you up at night, you won't be able to sleep, and if you actually address them, it will only take you about 10 minutes if you're fully aware of your emotions and get in contact with them. Why is this? Well, basically, you're now aware of your body. It has sent you a signal, and this will help you. But the important thing is that basically we need to fight Darwin and fight to avoid our emotions.
Et donc, il y a quelque chose qui s'est passé. Et effectivement, donc, faut lutter contre sa première nature, qui est une nature darwinienne, qui est de zapper cet inconfort. Merci. Oui, donc en fait, le point, c'est effectivement penser.
So I think there are a lot of tensions inside our bodies, something we may have locked away. So it is very important to address these emotions. And I must say, I think a lot, and mostly I try to rationalize things. And the first approach would be, if you rationalize it, it doesn't seem logical. But I'm going to tell you, even for me, it was very logical, it was very good, and it has great benefits. I would like to insist a bit more on yoga, as I see there are many men in this room, and mostly men have more difficulties to start doing yoga than women. So I'd like to discuss some yoga that I have been doing myself, which is a dynamic form of yoga, which is much used in the United Kingdom, in the US, and also in Germany. Unfortunately, it hasn't come much to France yet. It is called the Dan Yoga, which is spelled D-A-H-N, and you can find danyoga.com, websites dan.org, to find more information on that type of yoga. So why is yoga very interesting? Basically, it helps you to circulate and veiculate your energy, especially if you're feeling tired, if you're not feeling well, if you have gained weight. Yoga is the perfect thing to do. You can even do it before work in the morning. So I think the important aspect here is to know that we have to find a way to have positive energy in our body.
De travailler effectivement une remise en énergie positive, on va dire. Alors ensuite, il y a tout ce qui est autour de l'école du rire. Là, je vous en renvoie aussi de l'école du rire et toutes les pratiques qui effectivement ont été prouvées notamment dans les gens qui sont très envahis par la tristesse.
Another technique I would like to speak about is a technique of laughing. And there are many people that have great sadness and that conceal their depression. And actually laughing is a very good technique. At first, it might feel like you're forcing yourself to laugh, but actually, it activates the muscles in your face and activates the endorphin and makes you feel better. And this is a technique that can be used at every age. Everyone can do it, whatever their weight, whatever their size, whatever their age. So this is a very positive aspect, and I would try to all encourage you to try out these laughing techniques. Another aspect I would like to speak about is physical unloading. Basically, unloading your emotions, because we Mensons have a tendency to rationalize everything, think with our brains, think intellectually, and this sometimes avoids physical unloading. There is one theory for men. It does exist for women as well, but in Europe it hasn't proved to be very efficient. It's a project called Markine. You can find more Markine project. You can find more information on mkp.eu.org. So that's MKP. And basically, it's a technique where men do CBT, cognitive behavioral therapies, in order to get rid of their negative emotions. And that way, all 5 negative emotions that I was speaking about before can be addressed. Women have been doing similar things as well, and there is a group of women that meet in Paris, actually, and working in groups is always a good way that helps you to unload negative emotions. Sometimes I have, for instance, seen a person doing bereavement as well before, and for me it was a good way to get in touch again with sad events that I experienced myself and that I hadn't dealt with completely. And so this was a very positive experience.
Sur des émotions profondes qui nous bloquent complètement dans notre vie. Alors, on va venir un petit peu au monde du travail. On va revenir un petit peu au monde du travail maintenant qu'on a travaillé sur le mieux-être en soi. Forcément, quand on est mieux en soi, on est mieux.
So now I'd like to speak to you about the working environment, now that we've been addressing the issues of well-being and of our well-being inside. If you feel better yourself, you will feel better with other people as well. So I would like to tell you a few things. And first of all, in the 50 interviews that I have been conducting on the book that I'm currently writing with Ariel Hadar on young adults, we have been taking an equal amount of numbers of people that have been very successful in their lives and also people that have had big failures. And one aspect that all of these people have in common is their intuition. And there is a Greek myth I would like to speak to you about, which I think is relevant in this case. It's the myth of Cassandra, who was able to read the future, but no one was ever listening to him. So I think it's really important that we are all aware of our intuition and that we are conscious that sometimes we know what will happen in the future and that we need to listen to this. Sometimes we know or we feel in advance whether we want to work with people or whether we don't, whether we should invest in a project or whether we shouldn't. And this fact of intuition is basically proved that gifted people have greater synapses and therefore greater connections in their brains, more more synapses and more connections in their brain, which therefore creates a greater intuition. Now, we can be active in creative jobs, but intuition can also be very important in rational jobs, such as jobs in finance, like the job I have currently. Of course, you should know we're not always right. Our intuition isn't always right. For instance, if I tell you of Jimmy Goldsmith, we asked him once, how did you become rich? And he was telling us, well, I was wrong less than 50% of the time. And we, in my job, we distinguish the people that are wrong 4 times out of 10 from the people that are wrong 2 times out of 10. Because even the people that are wrong 2 times out of 10 are the people that are mostly right and that get their intuition right. So even in our job, we should be aware of our intuition. And this can also help us to be more confident and rely on ourselves.
C'est véritablement d'avoir plus confiance, vous jeunes adultes en tout cas, dans votre intuition. Alors maintenant, on va arriver au sujet de finalement, c'est quoi le chemin de réussite? Le chemin de réussite.
So the next topic will be how can you be successful? Well, being successful in your job is related to a few aspects. First of all, making the right choices, working in the right environment, working with the right boss, and especially, and most importantly, having a good level of self-respect. And this is an aspect I would like to underline as very important, because whether you find out early or late that you are gifted, you should always know and be aware and learn how to deal with your self-respect. I would like to point out again a book by our Dutch colleagues, a book published by Jan Goldberg in 2008 at McGrath-Hill, and basically speaking about the careers for geniuses and other typically gifted people. So Jan Goldberg has listed 10 careers that are particularly adapted for gifted people.
Et de travail adapté aux profils surdoués. Alors, on a fait un groupe de travail l'année dernière pendant les MAG, animé par notre amie hollandaise Grete Van Geffen, qui est donc la chairman de Mensa Hollande. Et voilà un petit peu les conseils qu'on peut diffuser à des managers de personnes surdouées, à des directeurs de ressources humaines et aux différents spécialistes de ressources humaines. La première chose, c'est de nous donner une grande autonomie.
So during IMAC, Gretchen Van Geffen, which is the chairman of Mensa Holland, has shared us the results of some analysis she has been making. So basically, she has given advice to managers who do employ gifted people and specialists of human resources to how they should react and how they should interact with gifted people. So first of all, they should give us more authority. They should also stimulate us and set us targets and objectives within different fields of investigations. They shouldn't impose rules on us, and they shouldn't control us much, because we mostly do not appreciate that. On top of that, they should challenge us, make us want to improve, and avoid that we stop and that we get bored. On top of that, it's important that they are not scared of us, because we are not a threat. We don't threaten their position as a boss at all. It's just that we try to be excellent at our work, at the work we do. And unfortunately, often at work, we are perceived as a threat. The bosses should also use our curiosity and ask us for advice, especially when occupying a new post, for instance, in domains where we haven't been trained in, as this is an important source for innovation for the company as well. On top of that, they should ask us how we feel about certain ideas, what would be the pros and cons about an idea, and what has been the underlying reasoning of this, and our way of thinking of it. And then finally, they should give us more work than what they think is appropriate, because mostly we will do the work very quickly, and they shouldn't be surprised if we even come back asking for more work. This avoids us to be bored as well.
Ce que vous pensez raisonnable, parce que vous allez être surpris. Ils risquent non seulement de le faire, mais vous en demandez encore plus, et ça va leur permettre de moins s'ennuyer.